The following is a presentation of the Flex Radio.
It's the interview sessions.
The interview sessions. In conjunction with the Flex Radio.
The team of Giovanni Jackson and David L. David
bring you the latest in entertainment news.
Featuring exclusive interviews with some of your favorite TV, movie, and sports world figures.
Giovanni and David are what's in.
Keeping you entertained with their chemistry and comical personalities.
The interview sessions.
Tune in weekly as they bring you new episodes you don't want to miss.
Please like, subscribe, and download.
It's the interview sessions. The interview sessions with Giovanni Jackson and David L. David. Are your clients eager for an unforgettable and affordable adventure? Mustafa Tours has got you covered. From now until December 15th, 2024, enjoy a more than 50% discount on our most popular 7-night, 8-day tour, the Grand Slam, Egypt Nile River Cruise. Mustafa Tours, with an impeccable reputation for offering premium tours in Egypt to individuals, groups, and embassy personnel from all over the world. We are pleased to personally assist you in your efforts to make this luxury tour a reality for all your clients. For details, log on to travelsinegypt.com or call 201-0616-25197 or area code 801-618-5470. Bring Egypt to life with Mustafa Tours. Travelsinegypt.com. You're locked in on Flex Radio.
Classic hip-hop and R&B.
Here comes the heat, y'all. Feel this.
Feel the heat with the Flex Radio COO.
Giovanni Jackson.
Joe Jackson's baby girl.
Book author of Bastard Child.
Your co-host on the Morning Cafe.
And the interview sessions.
So keep it on the Flex.
Flex Radio.
Yes, keep it on the Flex. Giovanni.
Yes.
You know what? I did it again.
What'd you do?
Let me tell you what I did. Okay. This morning I woke up and I kind of had a messy breakfast, right? My breakfast was, let me see, it had eggs in it, had some cheese, had bread, it had some turkey, it had some kind of sauce, whatever kind of sauce that was, So I was a bad boy once again. However, I do have somebody who's going to help get me right. Okay.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you know who it is. So I'm going to read something, right? This is the motto. All right. I'm going to read it directly from this gentleman himself. It says, "It is not the food in your life, but the life in your food that nourishes," right? Then it goes on to say, Dr. Aris is self-learned in the culinary arts, food science, self-growth, and well-being disciplines through his personal 12,000-volume nonfiction research library collection. And it says he is the originator of Sunfired Cuisine and Paradise Pies. Dr. Aris, the Sunfired Gourmet, has been a vegetarian for 50 years. Giovanni, that's your whole life. And has eaten Sunfired Cuisine exclusively for the past 44 years. That's my whole life. Just kidding. I'm a little bit older than that, but So anyway, so that being said, okay, let's introduce our super guest. His name is Dr. Aris LaTham. He's a PhD. Okay, he is 77 years old. Okay, so Dr. LaTham.
Yes. Greetings.
It's great having you, sir. Great having you.
Greetings,
Yeah.
Dr. Latham.
Wow. Thank you for having me. It's quite an honor for me to be sitting here direct from Paradise, Panama, and sharing with you and our wonderful family on your network. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you, sir. So
Yes, we do.
with that introduction, I promised the world that you're going to help get me right because I've been messing up. So Yeah, I'm gonna need you to help get me right. And them.
Okay, let's start with a little housekeeping in getting you right.
Okay.
You know, I notice, you know, you did what may be called a slip of the tongue. Uh, Looked at the word and you pronounced it sunfried. And then you took another second take because you know what you said was not what's written.
Right.
What's written is sunfired. So the cuisine that I originated, you know, for me, you know, I mean, I've been researching, and I've been looking, and I've been seeing that, oh man, it seems like I'm the only person that has ever been credited with single-handedly creating an entire cuisine.
Right.
So yes, Sunfired is the name of the cuisine that I originated. And, yeah, and then there's a few things in the bio here that we need to bring up to date. Apparently, the bio that you looked at is not it's not up to date. You know, I've been on time, you know, for all these years now. Some people may say, "Oh, you've been ahead of your time," but no, I think those people are late. So some people are late to what I'm doing. So it's now 54 years of consuming all plant foods. And it's now 48 years that I've not eaten any cooked food as one may know it.
Right.
So I've been consuming all sun-fired foods for 48 years. So sun-fired is a terminology that I coined in 1979 in Harlem, New York, when I formally went public, you know, with the sun-fired foods, even though I had already been consuming it, you know, for a few years prior to that. So the whole connotation of sun-fired is that the food is actually cooked by the sun.
Right.
The sun is the only chef on our planet, and it cooks for us all. So me as an artist, I have interpreted the great masterpiece of the sun, this food, this growing process here that we see that plant foods go through on a constant basis. It's actually the cooking process. Right now, I'm looking at a bunch of bananas, you know, right on my tree, you know, and there's some that are very yellow on the bunch, some that are still green. So it's the sun that have turned them from green to yellow. It's the sun that have ripened them. The sun took a whole year from the time my banana tree blossomed to now that I'm having perfectly cooked bananas, you know, ripe, ready, you know, fruitful and just ready to be multiplied, you know. And this is the thing about these types of foods. So anyway, thanks for the spark. Thanks for getting me in the seat firmly now so we can take your family, take our community on a journey and bring you up to date, you know, with your break fast. You just broke your fast this morning. And so the way we break our fast, if we look at the definition of the word to fast, it means hold fast. Nothing went past your lips because obviously you were sleeping for 8 hours before this break fast period. So that's the fasting mode. The sleeping mode for 8 hours, we're actually fasting. And in fasting, we're giving the digestive system a rest. We disengage it. Exhale. You just did 12 hours of digestion the day before. Yesterday, you had 3 square meals, and each one of those meals, it takes them 4 hours to digest. So you spent 12 hours digesting all day yesterday, and then you had 8 hours where you absolutely are barred from putting any food into your mouth because you're in the sleeping mode. You're actually in the body shop for 8 hours. And so the body is doing is reparation work. So all valves, all arteries, everything is being checked during that sleeping mode. So you can only do that when the digestive system is shut down because it demands and commands so much energy and the rest of the body don't get to really do much of what it's here to do for us.
Right.
You know, and obviously one of the critical things that the body does for us, it eliminates. But while the body is digesting, it cannot eliminate. So we have this safety valve built into us that we must sleep every night. You could be 120 miles per hour on the highway, but when it's that time, it's that time. You're going to go to sleep at the steering wheel. It's a demand, a command. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. You know, get into the body shop. You need to do some repair work. So it's involuntary. It's a built-in safety valve that we must sleep. So that happens to be phase one of our day, so we can process the food that we ate yesterday. And when you got up this morning, you're now breaking your fast. You know, the bankers got a hold of our food basket, and now they turned it into a meal, and they call it a breakfast.
Right.
But if you read How to Break a Fast, it is totally unscientific to break a fast with, you know, waffles and chicken, you know, fake bacon and granola and all of these things. The stomach is you know, the size of your stomach is your clenched fist. Clench your fist and put it where you know your stomach is inside of your body. And that's the normal size of your stomach.
Wow.
So we have opened it yesterday. We overstretched it. We stuffed it full with a whole bunch of stuff. And the only time it closes back to come to rudimentary state is when you are fasting, when you are sleeping. So now when you open that bag in the morning for this break fast time, you open it gradually. You first want to clean the bag out. You know, you want to hose it out. You want to actually take an internal first thing in the morning. And, you know, today we have reduced our internal shower to coffee. Oh, my goodness. I mean, we do take that external shower every day, bless us, you know, but the internal shower is even more critical. So can you imagine if you take your internal shower in the morning and something come out of your shower head looking like coffee? You're not getting under that water.
Right.
But yet, unconsciously, we put it inside of our system to do our internal shower, and that's when all hell breaks loose for the rest of the day.
Wow.
So, taking it from the top, that break fast. Let's get our day. Let's start off on the good foot here every day, and then the rest just is in divine sequence. So let's get busy, and I'm here, the
Right.
Sunfired Gourmet.
Gotcha. So now,
Wow.
okay, go ahead, Giovanni. I'm sorry.
That's so amazing what you said, and I'm so guilty of, you know, okay, so I never really was a breakfast eater, you know, but I'm a coffee drinker. And I have and I have the bad habit of eating late, you know. And when I was looking through Instagram and your Sunfired Culinary Institute came up, you know, your Instagram, and I saw that stuff and it just spoke to me because I do love vegetables. I do love fruit. But what was especially appealing to me was the exotic fruits of where you are, you know? And the further that I scrolled through, I saw that you were making pizza. I saw this paradise pie. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I have to go there. And so then I learned that, you know, you have a 700-acre fruit farm. That's like amazing. What all do you have growing on it?
Wow, right now I'm looking at my papaya tree. This papaya tree have like 150 papayas on it. And, you know, just to imagine that this thing started with one seed.
Wow.
It takes one seed for a papaya tree, and each papaya, this 150 papayas that I see on my tree right now, each one have at least 100 trees. So from one seed, we're getting, you know, my goodness, like thousands of seeds every year. In a whole year, thousands of seeds. So, I mean, look, the planet should be overrun with food. Forget the papaya. I mean, look, we got watermelon. One watermelon seed produces another watermelon vine. And each vine could be running up the side of your farm, in the back of your house, wherever you're growing your watermelon. And the watermelon is basically it's a bottling system. It's a bottling plant. It's a water plant. I mean, literally a plant that processes water, filters it, and bottles it in what we call a watermelon. That is packaged water. That's bottled water. So the watermelon hose is tapped into an underground spring on your little house, in your property, in your backyard, and is pumping water out of that spring and bottling it through this vine, which is really a water hose. And every so many steps, every so many feet, you see another bottle of water pops up. A 30-pounder, a 50-pounder, one that's a gallon of water, a quart. I mean, it's amazing. Besides the watermelon and the papaya, we have serious exotics that we brought from around the world. Durian, acai, jackfruit, soursop. We have the scubanongs down in here, which in Jamaica they call the governor's plum. We have, oh man, what we did, this permaculture fruit farm was organized by a great friend of mine from Argentina, Bruce Hill. Bruce grew up in Hawaii. Hawaii is like, America's, exotic heaven, pineapples and all of that. So he came and organized this one for us here in Panama. And we brought in like 30,000 little genetic trees from Costa Rica. Costa Rica on this side is like the haven of exotic paradise. The name of the country, rich coast, two coastlines that are very rich, abundance with paradise. And I'm right next door in Panama, and we have two coastlines that's, oh my gracious, Panama is the #1 mango growing region in the world. So we have 120 varieties of mangoes that are grown every day in Panama.
Wow.
And the history, I mean, I got about 600 hours to share with your fans, but we're going to compress it in these 60 minutes. So I'm just trying to get in just a little sun drop of all the little gems that we are experiencing here in paradise. And this is where I was born, in Panama, on the U.S. Panama Canal Zone. My grandparents came from Jamaica and Barbados in 1904 to build the Panama Canal. My grandfather dug up that canal with picks and shovels to create this, at the time, the 8th wonder of the world. And Panama it's birdland. If they, that jazz music, that bird line, if there's ever a birdland in this place, in this world, it's Panama. 365 species of birds sighted in a 24-hour period by the Audubon Society. They do the Christmas bird count in about 6 places around the world. And Panama consistently for the past 40 plus years, #1, maybe #2 sometime for all of these birds. And wherever birds abound, fruits are here. So Panama is the land of the big bees, not just the birds, but the bees, those hummingbirds, the butterflies, the bats, the bugs. It's like, so where you find these beings, they're dropping seeds everywhere, and Panama is in such a unique position as an isthmus. An isthmus is a body of land that connects 2 continents. It connects the northern and the southern continent of America. And, like the birds from the U.S., from the northern hemisphere, they migrate to the south, to Argentina when it gets cold up there in New York. When the ice comes, they be flying out, heading down to Argentina, and Panama is their layover. That's why we have all these species here. So this is such a paradise to have been born here, you know, gifted by my grandparents who came here as migrant workers to build a canal for the world. The same way we have built pyramids and all kinds of stuff all over this world, all that we have built in the U.S. We built the whole country for these folks. We came and built a canal here for the U.S. and for the rest of the world. And here I am after almost 50-something years being around the world, 36 years in the U.S. I'm back home. I'm here in paradise. And yes, we are singing with the birds. The fruits are here. So, but still, this is not to discredit places in the U.S., places around the world where you do have your exotics. It's been so commercialized, so everyday that you don't even realize that raspberries are an exotic fruit. Blackberry,
Really?
persimmon. You know, there's so much stuff, just simple everyday foods that we see over there. They're serious exotics. You know, they're superfoods. We have it all over the world. This is a testament to our planet. But yet, you know, we have been really mistreating Mother Earth and just been doing anything and everything. And the biggest challenge that we have left ourselves in is that we have destroyed our food basket. The original, natural, and best food for human consumption are plant foods. Our relationship with the rest of the universe is through the plant kingdom. You know, so I read a book in the 1960s, 1970, by one of our greatest African-American author of that era, Dr. Hakeem Madhubuti, also known as Don Lee, the poet. He wrote a book, From Plan to Planet. And that's what sparked me in 1969, 1970, living in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, where I migrated from Panama at the age of 17, right from the bush to the ghetto to the inner city, Bed-Stuy. And so it's been from there to here and all in between and around the world and back. And yes, Sunfired is my gospel. Sunfired is my revolution. So this is the 60s revolution, growing up on the college campus in Bayside, New York, with the hippies and Black Power movement and the Vietnam War, you know, consciousness, you know, all of this stuff.
Well, let's just
Brooklyn,
say this.
I remember.
Let's just not to cut you off,
Go
but
ahead.
I knew there was another reason why I liked you so much. I knew it. The fact that I'm born in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. We used to live in Bed-Stuy when I 1970 to about 1973. We lived on Chauncey Street in Bed-Stuy. You know, and then
I was
you
on
mentioned
Bushwick and Putnam.
Okay.
Bushwick and Putnam. And you know, I mean, that's where I saw little Michael Jackson.
Wow.
Right there.
Wow.
Under the L. You know, right there, you know, and the Jackson 5, you know, and I'm like, wow, man. You know, and this is what I grew up in, you know, soul food. So go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I was just saying, because you also
My
mentioned
neighbor.
Bayside. So, yeah, I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. So, yeah, so I you know, when you use the word consciousness and stuff like that, yeah, I mean, yeah, you just made me feel, well, I'm in Georgia now for the past 5+ years, but, you know, I'm kind of homesick, right? You just made me even more homesick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
So basically, I'm kind of like still, you know, a revolutionary from the 60s, you know, but my revolution has been the food revolution. And we still at it, you know. I think I've gone through a good 4 generations now of really teaching this gospel of sun-fired food, you know, the food that really, you know, that really walks and talks today, the one you ate yesterday.
Right. So I guess one question that I have for you right now, we spoke about this the other day, myself and Giovanni. We talked about the fact that I've probably in the past year alone have lost, maybe I just lost a cousin last week, but the people that I have lost have all died with similar causes. It's either diabetes, cancer. All right. It's not the typical thing like it was once upon a time, right? Like gunshot wounds and stuff like, crazy stuff like that. Now it seems to be people are
Yes.
just passing away, because of health reasons. So young, in their
Mhm.
50s and their 40s and
Mhm.
their 30s. And I can't put my hand on it. But so what you're saying makes a whole lot of sense, because I know even when you go to the food store, all right, the grocery store, and you see all of this food, you don't know what they're spraying it with. You don't know what they're doing, to either enhance the, the size of it, whether you go into a Chinese restaurant or whatever it is. All right. So I just can't put a finger on it. And I don't understand how so many people are dying in like, I don't know, tens of thousands of people just passing away. And I know it has a lot
Yeah.
to do with
Well,
food.
yeah, it's such a sad situation that we see today, because number one, the human body really was not even designed to be sick. And it's so dynamic is that if it ever gets sick, it knows how to heal itself, to bounce back, and one little simple advice the doctor gives us, they kind of give away their whole card when they say, well, just rest in bed and drink plenty of fuel, but take this also. But yeah, rest in bed and drink plenty of fuel. Go to sleep. Go on a fast. The body would heal itself. But of course, now, the way our food has pretty much been weaponized, it's hard. We're caught between a rock and a hard place here with what we eat. We must eat. We've got to eat. But a lot of the food now that we have been conditioned to eat, processed food, and we talking simple as cooking a food turns it into a processed food. Anytime you cook food, you kill the food. You deactivate the active ingredient in that food. You deactivate the life-giving energy that food gives us. So, I've seen the pattern. I'm watching the trend. I've been, pretty much in the front row seat for the past 60 years, taking care of my life. And at 77, I mean, there's no doubt, there's no mistaking. My brain is not shrinking. I am not losing it. I am not sick. I got 20/20 vision. And the only difference between me and everybody else that I know right now today in my age group is the way that I eat. I am absolutely not sick, no problem, no issue. But to see what's going on, and then as you mentioned, so many people that are getting sick, all these diseases and stuff like that. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory, pretty much. The longer you live, the more people you're going to know who are going to die.
Right.
Of course, that's life. That's what life is really all about. But to see my loved ones, to see my friends, to see my great heroes, our great journalists, our great historians, our great poets, and, our great athlete, Muhammad Ali, the greatest human being of his time, the greatest in the world. To see him go out, the way he did, it's so painful. It doesn't have to happen. But we have some examples. We have some shining stars that have been amongst us. One of my great illustrious students of all time, our beloved Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson, you saw her. You see, she did it.
Yes.
All on stage, still in her 90s. Cicely Tyson took the time and came and studied with me in 1999 at my place in Brooklyn, the Sunfired Juice Club, when I had my institute there. And this is a person who, was a vegan for a good solid minimum 60 years of her life. We've had these examples. We've seen Dick Gregory. We saw Gregory from 300 pounds when Dr. Alvinia Fulton got a hold of him and sucked the man down to 98 pounds and then built him back up. And we saw the brilliance of his mind, his energy, his love, his family, everything. So we just have to take stock and just realize it's not doomsday. It's not, we can reverse all of this. So let's bring our loved ones together. Let's gather the tribe. Let's sit down at the dinner table again, but let's make it our dinner table. Let's not go out to the fast food restaurant, the slow food restaurant, the gourmet killer food restaurant. Let's sit down and have a family chat about what the heck is on our plate. What happened to this one and that one? Look at the medical reports and let's clean it up.
Right, right.
Wow.
Clean it up. We have guideposts now. We have guidelines, and I've established the bar. Let's get out and run and jump and hop and skip, and let's live that second childhood. Once a man, twice a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 77 years old. I'm 7 years young. I'm on my second life.
I hear that.
I'm my second youth here. I'm just getting into my prime. Let's get
Wow.
busy. This is
Yes.
no time to be convalescing and sitting on death row because you have a dialysis or you got diabetes or anything like this. Let's clean it up. We can do it. Yes, we can. Of course, let's do it.
That is so amazing. I
Yes.
have a question for you. So, I guess at this point, I have been eating bad ever since I was born. Well, yeah. So, exactly how long does it take, to reset everything? Because I know that it took me, and I've been doing this, and I'm about to be 50. So I'm assuming that it takes, it's going to take some time. How long does it take, or maybe an estimate of resetting
Okay.
Giovanni Jackson?
Yes, we're talking resetting. You know, depending number one on our age is definitely a factor, and how much damage we have done to our life, to our body. In terms of resetting it. But just from a general standpoint, you know, once we remove the cause effect of what got us basically out of tune, out of sort, ill, or whatever our situation may be, the first thing we have to address is what was the cause? What did we do? So if it's food, what was the food that we ate that may put us in a situation that our body is not functioning at its optimal peak performance value. So just like our car or any mechanized, motorized systems that we have to deal with. If the car is running raggedy, we go to the mechanic. There's a diagnosis, and number one, if you're not putting the right fuel into the car, that what was designed to function off of at its optimum best, then you have to remove that fuel. you know, but the first thing before you even remove that fuel, you need to not put any more back in. So what are the foods that have caused us, to be moving backwards, literally? We must get those foods off of our plate. Then number two, protocol number two of resetting, fixing the body is remove the waste matter from that food out of our system, what's embedded in there at this point, because that's what we're functioning off of. Just like with your car, you have a diesel engine and you put gasoline in there. The first thing your mechanic is going to do is break the whole system down, change the filters, the gas filters, clean out the gas line, everything. From the diesel line of all the gas that you put in, and then put in new filters and X, Y, and Z. So that's what we have to do to our body. Don't put any more in. Remove what's in there, and then we start putting in what's good for it. That's level number three. And then, so obviously now we're going to rebuild the body, and then finally we're going to optimize it. We're going to stabilize it. This is going to be moving forward. So right there, just simply speaking, that could be done in 30 days, to get started. To get started, you're going to see a major difference in 30 days of not putting any more of the cause in, removing what's inside of you, at least as much as we can unplug, and start the process of detoxification or elimination and rebuilding as quickly as possible new cells, because we constantly breaking down and rebuilding every second of our lives, and then now really getting the system stabilized. And you'll see a major difference, depending on how radical we want to go, depending on any type of medical conditions that we may have. Then we want to start doing some detox and deep cleansing, setting up a fasting program, a constant, regular preventative system where we would be fasting once a week and, this periodic stuff, just basic.
Right.
So to move, at a good, comfortable pace with, let's say, 90 days, and we're going to start breathing again, exhaling again, having normal bowel movements and things of that nature. But on the bigger picture, no matter what age we are at, if we've been eating animal products, meat, dairy, and so forth and so on, it takes 1 year for every 2 years that we've consumed animal flesh for the last trace of it to leave your body.
Wow.
So if you're 40 years of age, it's going to take 20 years for the last trace of any animal flesh that you've consumed to finally leave your body. And that's with just stop putting any more in. Then once you start doing the detox, doing the fasting, the cleansing, and things like that, we can pretty much drop that down, like cut that in four. Yeah. So instead of 20 years, we can break it down and clean out everything in 10 years. But on the bright side, the body itself, you can actually order a brand new body. And generally, depending on what age you are, it can take you up to 7 years to pretty much reprogram every cell in your body. So to remove the white blood cells, the mucus, all the stuff that we call the cold and the pus and the infections and all of this kind of stuff, and to be able to start building the body brand new. In 7 years, we can pretty much be a brand new person. But I can give you examples. I can share with you my brother Stanley Banks, one of my students, Stanley Banks. We did this in Brooklyn at the Sunfired Juice Club. Stanley Banks in 1999. This is George Benson's bass player, brother with the big upright, and he came in to my place and, dibbling and dabbling, a little wheatgrass and trying to make that health gesture, but still eating his basics, the pork and everything else, and thinking that, yes, this is going to help him. Yes, it has helped him to a certain extent, and the people that, that have come through, to my place and the system that I've seen, but Stanley Banks is like a bright example. So he said, my course is 7 days to just get a whole reset program, an intensive 7-day program, coming into my place every day, 7 days, eating all raw, all of his meals, the whole thing, being educated how to prepare your foods and the whole thing. He said, man, if everything you're saying is true, it looks like I won't be able to eat any more pork. So the night before, I'm going to pig out. So the guy went all over picking and every pork he could find, and picked out literally. The next day he came, and from that day, switched 100%, all fired food, no cooked food, no animals, no nothing whatsoever. So we're talking 9 months later, The man loses 100 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
Not an ulcer that he had on his leg, that he hasn't been able to like really see it not pussing for about a good 10 years. Here the thing is beginning to dry up. And I know Sally's giving me the go ahead. You tell people my story. Please don't hold back. Let them know. And I'll stand up to it, because I've seen what this has done to me. So, he's gone into sessions with George Benson, and man, Stanley, look like you ain't half the man you used to be. He lost all the stuff. The guy is shining bright, So on the road now, he takes his juicer and his blender, and in his rider, he said, just give me fruits and vegetables delivered to my hotel room. He got an extra little suitcase now running with you got the big upright base, and then he got a little with his juicer and his blender defending his life on the road, one bite at a time.
Wow.
And up to today, this man is still now, we're talking now 14, 15 years later, the man is still raw. He fell off the wagon a little, some spots here or there. He called me back to get a reset, and I'm always reminding him, Stanley, you did not detox to retox. Because you know what happens. He say, yeah, I'm feeling it. But yeah, I'm ready. Bang, he comes back in. And we just spoke up to the other day again. My brother's shining bright and he's holding it tight, It's possible for every single one of us. We just need to apply ourselves. But I am loading you up with the knowledge, the information, and I'm giving you that jump start, that reset, that full body reset. When you come to me and you spend, a week, it's really a week with us. And I'm giving you the keys, the tools, the techniques, the tips, the tricks, everything for you to now defend your life, because this is what it's all about. It's about self-defense. You got to take ownership. You got to be responsible.
Right. And
now you're going to get in there and make sure that you're not no longer digging your grave with a fork.
Right. Exactly.
So definitely.
So let me ask you this, though, because see what so I come from, my background is in personal training. That's one of the things that I've done, right? So we, in personal training, we were taught, and tell me what your take is on this. We were taught that protein, of course, is the, the building blocks of building muscle, right? So to consume 1 gram to 1.5 gram of protein is what we per pound of body weight is what we were taught in order to build muscle.
Yes.
But now people do that in
Correct.
the form of eating chicken, in the form of taking protein
Correct.
powders. So what is your take on that? Because because now you have me questioning even, the protein powers. Like, is that, real? Is that legitimate way of getting, protein in there, or what?
Well, basically what it comes down to is the quality of the protein. The quality. So protein powder, number one, this powder originated from a whole food, WHOLE, a whole food. The protein has been fragmented out. It's been isolated. So the protein needs its other components. The number one component that is missing is the life,
right?
The vitality, the vital force, the life. How are we going to extract life from something dead?
Right.
How are we going to take a pea, or green pea, which is what a lot of the protein powder is made of today, soybeans and things of this nature? How are you going to take a soybean and process it? Number one, kill it, process it, and trying to get life out of death. The quality of life that you're going to get is going to be, questionable. That protein can no longer grow. You can't plant it in the earth and expect for it to grow, for it to replicate and reproduce. But yet we're planting it in the body. We're planting something dead in our body, and it's looking for us to now grow a living body out of it. I don't know who taught us this, but
Right.
we cannot get life from death. You know, so you want that living protein. You want that sprouted pea. You know, even if you're now going to go ahead and process it, you know, you don't want to kill the life out of it. You don't want to, number one, expose it to the highest to high temperatures. You want to stay within the limits of the highest recorded solar temperature on the planet anytime ever.
Right.
The highest recorded solar temperature on the planet, 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything above 135 degrees dies. That temperature was recorded in Death Valley, California. Everything is dead in Death Valley. You would die if you get exposed to being in Death Valley, overexposed for a few days at that temperature level. So let's not try to extract life from death. We need to now really wake up. Living food for living people. So the quality, we're talking protein, the same seeds and nuts, the same things that have fat, the plant foods that have fat, coconut. This is where the protein is bound. Protein is bound with fat. You want to do an efficient transfer of the solar energy, the solar vibration from that plant food into our body. But number one, anytime you expose any fat, any protein food to heat, you destroy the fat molecules, and now your body has a hard time really turning that into amino acids, breaking it down into a simple form so our body can absorb it. So yes, if you're a bodybuilder, if you're a fitness buff, you are active. You're burning it up. You're combusting it. You are taking your body and turning it into a refinery. And you're refining the protein and making amino acid with it. And same thing with the complex carbohydrates, the starches that are maybe in the same pea. Most peas, most beans that we look for protein, most of them have the complex carbohydrates with them as well, the starch. So number one, we have to separate the starch from the protein. The starch builds the lower body. The protein builds the upper body. Fat floats up. So a bodybuilder, you see the big chest, the big wide upper body, the muscles, all of that. But as most of the diet of this bodybuilder is protein, the lower part of the body doesn't get built up, doesn't buff up. So you see that how it tapers down towards the legs, towards the thighs, towards the ankles, because we're not putting in the starches, the complex carbohydrates are not being processed because the starches settle down. The fat and protein floats up. A bodybuilder's muscles is protein. Yes, so anyway, if we're not processing it accordingly, then that protein is going to clog us up. It's going to shut the circulatory system. A lot of that protein is going to turn into cholesterol, ultimately wax, plastics, harden, and then the starch. It's a whole big mix-up right here. So we need to unravel these keys that we have and really work with nature. Whole foods as direct from the plant, farm to table.
Right.
That's not a myth. But what does farm to table really mean? You need minimal processing, minimal destruction of the vital force that we're trying to extract from the food so that ultimately that protein doesn't turn into cholesterol and clog up our arteries and we have double, triple bypass surgery. Or again, see what happened to our brother Muhammad Ali.
Right.
Eventually, if you stop working out and you stop compressing it, because what the bodybuilder is doing, you're compressing this mass amount of protein, squeezing the water out of it, all the sweat that you're going through every day, squeezing all that moisture out of it, and pretty much ultimately crystallizing it, and the body with very little flexibility, fluidity, pliability. Now we have this dense mass, that has been crystallized or plastified in our body that eventually it threatens our life.
Right.
And then once you become inactive, then the muscles begin to unpack. And literally all that S comes back upstream and it hits the fan. God forbid it's a stroke, you paralyze. Or it's an artery in the brain where the plumbing bursts. It's an aneurysm and it's instant death. So we need to really step up and take a wiser approach to building with quality, building in moderation, and eliminating the waste accordingly, and not packing waste into the muscles, into the tissue, that when it unpacks, that waste come back up and it smacks us around and again could even kill us. So we need to be a little wiser today. We've seen enough examples.
Right, exactly. So now let me ask you this question, right? So also when you work out, right? I've taught this because I've personal trained since the late 80s. So we've always taught people how to eat 5 to 6 small meals throughout the day, right? And if you don't, we also taught people to wake up in the middle of the night. If you get hungry in the middle of the night, you wake up and eat, because the idea is to keep your blood sugar level here, stable, right? And if you wait too long and let's say you don't eat breakfast, then catabolism occurs, right? So now your brain, what your brain is going to do is start eating at the muscle, is going to get the energy from the muscle and not the fat. So what's your take on that?
We got to really examine this with a fine-tooth comb here now. Mm-hmm. So what sometimes, in many cases, number one, as long as the body is digesting, it's going to be challenged to eliminate. So with us eating 3 square meals a day or 5 square ones a day, even in smaller portions, we keep the digestive system busy. So what happens when the stomach empties out, when the food is finally digested, elimination takes place. The tissues, the muscles are throwing that stuff back into the stream, and it's waste coming back upstream. And yes, some of that waste now from the complex carbohydrate or even some of the protein that we have stored, when it comes back upstream, now it's coming back as acid. It's coming back as deranged sugar. And we have a problem here because the body is going to be constantly looking to protect the brain and the heart, number one. So sometimes when we get up in the middle of the night and we have that extra meal, or when we break our fast prematurely too early, we just are short-circuiting the elimination process, because what's coming out of those tissues is waste matter. And that's why sometimes when we miss that meal, when we miss that lunch, when we miss that breakfast, we end up with this massive headache, migraine headache, brain-kicking headache. These are the toxins that are floating around in the bloodstream that were released, especially at night while we're sleeping. And the body's doing is repair work, it's reparation work at night. For 8 hours, you divide your day into 3 equal parts of 8 hours. There's a 3-phase cycle that the body goes through every day. And I don't know how these types of things are not being taught in fitness, bodybuilding, and other type of, places where we see that the rhythms of our lives are definitely intertwined with our health practices. In the ideal world, we need to examine the body's system and how does it work? How does the digestive system work in harmony, in tandem with the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the nervous system, all of these systems? They're not working independently. So when we get up in the middle of the night and we eat a meal, we activate the digestive system again, and the elimination system gets suppressed. So we're backing up. So a lot of what the athlete is packing is waste matter. Instead of eliminating it, we're packing it, we're repackaging it and condensing it and crystallizing it and stashing it into a certain spot. And the spots where we use our muscles the most, this is where we see the formation. This is where we see the six-pack, the bicep, the tricep. We see all that nice chisel going on. But we have chiseled out, we have extracted. The number one thing is the moisture. The human body is 70% moisture, liquid, blood, water. And for us to compress and sweat out all that moisture and make the body so dense where it's now 70, 80% solid mass, and now we have to try to get water through there. We have to try to get blood through there on a constant basis. We need to really examine some of these practices. We need to re-examine some of these practices. How are we going to maintain the body in equilibrium for optimum health if we reduce the moisture content in the body to the point where our doctor said, well, look, for goodness sake, look at what you're eating. Please drink 8 glasses of water a day. That's our extreme. And then some of us now, we try to pump it up with water, drinking all this water now. And then we're talking now the chemically charged sports drinks and things like that, trying to get our electrolytes from chemicals while we should be drinking coconut water, trying to get our zip from coffee, from tea, from herbs, and all of these things. These are just little Band-Aid, plug jobs that we're using to just limp us along to the next stage of great outbursts. Whether we're a world-class athlete and we're training for the Olympics, and after the Beijing Olympics, Usain Bolt can go and whack off 12 McDonald's burgers. Yeah, because he just burnt it up.
Right.
So he can eat like that because he runs like that.
Right.
But for us now, as, pretty much sedentary individuals trying to practice this and trying to turn it into a normal, common practice as athletes, bodybuilders, or whatever we are, this is a massive undertaking. And we have to be able to maintain that the rest of our lives. Because the minute you stop working out, those muscles, those tissues are going to unpack. And what are we going to do with all this waste matter? The body does not store anything that it needs in massive quantity like that. We burn it and we replenish it. That athlete gets out there and turn that pasta into sugar, turn that bread into sugar, turn that meat into amino acids. But, for the average individual, let's stop taking the challenge and stop taking the bet. The food manufacturer tells you, I bet you cannot just eat one of this potato chip. You eat that one, I got you. This is a dope. This is a drug. You're going to be addicted. Starch is an addiction. That potato chip becomes a drug now because it's not going to digest. If it doesn't digest, it ferments. When it ferments, it turns into alcohol. And then the byproduct is yeast. So we see the yeast infection. Call it dandruff, call it cellulite, call it whatever you want to call it. Kidney stone, arthritis, glaucoma. This is yeast, massive, severe yeast infection, inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis. An athlete pulls a ligament, tears a ligament. What ripped it up? What was packed inside that ligament? The potato, the macaroni, the pizza. And that's what tore the ligament. So there's a lot of stuff we need to examine, and let's put food first. This is what I'm saying. Let's put food first. It's the number one fuel and how we're going to treat our body once we mistreat it. What do we have to do now? Yes, it's going to be about a good solid year that you have to invest to clean the body out and rebuild it and reset it. A good solid year, minimum. could take up to 7 years if you want to really get very specific and order the exact body that you need to make it now disease proof.
Yes. Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Your wealth of knowledge is just out of this world.
Right. So I guess the next
Yes.
question is, so let's say that, okay, first of all, give us a way that, because I know a lot of people's ears right now to this podcast, and they're probably going to play it over and over again. But let's say somebody wanted to reach out to you, all right, to get started, to get reset. How would they reach out to you?
Well, you can come to our website, sunfired.academy. SUNFIRED.academy. And you would see the programs that we offer. Mostly what we offer are retreats at our place in Panama, our regenerative center on the farm, where you come and rest, relax, retreat, reboot, regenerate, rebuild, reset. We need to just get out of the race and come home.
Right. And Giovanni had mentioned, Giovanni mentioned something earlier, the size of your facility, the size of everything. It's
700 acres.
700
We are
acres.
an island. It's an island surrounded by 3 rivers.
Wow.
We have 7 springs property, and we have 38,000 coconut trees.
Wow.
So all the water we consume is living water. It's fresh water. Coconut water have more electrolytes than anything else. I myself, my rooster. These guys, they coming up. She comes around here and lays her eggs on this little ancestral path here that she recognized. We built a little something on top of it, but she still comes to lay her eggs where her great ones laid eggs years ago.
Wow.
So we're in paradise here.
Okay.
But yes, the whole thing is to be able to, get your water fresh from the plant. That watermelon, that coconut water, bottled water, spring water. Come on, we're going backwards.
Right.
Following the doctor's advice and drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Please follow the doctor's advice, but make sure that water has life, has energy, has vitality. You need the hydration, but in the process of being hydrated, get some minerals and some vitamins and some other essential things, rather than just filling the body up with just empty, blank water.
Right.
Water dilutes everything it comes in contact with. It dilutes us too. So let the water count. So we're about living water, and that's why this property, we're in the rainforest. We get tons of rain here. But the way the property is built, you can enjoy the rain. You could be here and let it rain, please.
Wow.
More food.
All right. So, and I know that you said
You spoke
with, you said you've worked with Cicely Tyson. Are there any more notables besides, in George Benson's guy? Are there any other notables?
Finally, George Benson had come home. We had him on our meal plans as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, a lot of my stuff is old school. Our brother Sidney Partier,
okay,
his daughter first ordered a Paradise nice green pie cake for him from Harlem. And then when I got out to LA in the 80s, and I set up at the Beverly Hills Juice Club.
Okay.
The Beverly Hills Juice Club is still there on Beverly Avenue near La Cienega. I had the Sunfired Food Club inside the Juice Club. And, we had Prince used to come through, Ben Vereen, even famous Amos. He would come and eat our pies and cookies. And, my clerk is like, Famous, don't you eat the famous Amos cookies? He said, no, that's why I'm in here. The Pointer Sisters, many wonderful ones, used to come through to us there. And, Joe Piscopo, you name it, all celebrities from all walks. Then we set up on Beverly Boulevard, on La Cienega Boulevard, right on Restaurant Row. We had a place called Paradise Pie, and that's when the whole nice cream pie cake became famous. You know, it's basically a cake. The bottom is a cake layered, and on top of that we had our fruit ice cream. We call it nice cream, and you know we make all kind of flavors like better pecan and you know the pistachio mint and all this stuff. You know, it's frozen fruit base, and then we would layer the paradise pie top on top of that, sliced fruits, mangoes or peaches. You know, peaches with cream. But we would use coconut cream. We don't use dairy cream. We take the mature coconut and run it through a juice extractor and extract all the fat, all the cream, not coconut milk, the creme de la creme. These were, you know, what we made our fame off of out there. You know, the Paradise Pie preceded me anywhere I went, you know, even up to today. You know, I mean, even Essence did a big feature on me in 1982, the edition that had Jacquet on the cover.
Okay.
And that was like Essence transition from soul food to food for the soul. So that article, I mean, it still rings even up to today. And, you know, I've catered in the U.S. Congress. We've catered, you know, Chief Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. We've catered for Deepak Chopra. I had a place in Bethesda, Maryland, right downtown Bethesda, Green City Market and Cafe.
Okay.
So we were, you know, had our stint in Chocolate City. I had a place in Atlanta as well, you know, with the Bronner Brothers. We had an operation down at Cottonwood, Alabama, the hot springs, with Dick Gregory and Senior Nathaniel Bronner, who I was honored to receive my doctorate degree alongside him. We both were received honorary doctorate degree from the City University of Los Angeles. I believe it was like 1983. And you know, but we've been able to share with a lot of our great illustrious ones. You know, I don't keep track of names like that, but even today, you know, we have, you know, Busta Rhymes and a few other of the great ones today that are, you know, at our door. You know, there are many that have come through here already. You know, Tiffany Haddish, she's been here to our farm, and you know, when she came, she was ready. And she's still ready.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. And we appreciate you so much and all of the knowledge that you have dropped here with us today. And I am so super excited. And I am looking forward to, in the near future, coming home to visit and reset.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my cabinet and throw away all the cereal and the anything processed that I eat on a daily. Yeah, so I can, you know. Yeah, so that's definitely, you gave us a lot of great knowledge. We do want to help, you know, do our part by pushing people your way, you know, basically for them, for everybody. I mean, because see, one of the biggest things that I found with people is that they kind of tend to not get involved with things because they don't know. They don't know how to get started. They don't know what to do. And that becomes a huge problem.
Right.
So what they do is they just result back and say, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and eat this, forget it, you know. But yeah, it sounds like they need to have a nice long, and make it a lifestyle, you know, dealing, you know, with you and getting the knowledge from you, you know, and your people, your staff. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you for taking your time with us today.
Thank you.
Right.
It's a pleasure. I mean, you see how my adrenaline bumps up when I'm sharing
I like that.
this. I love to
I like that.
My joy, it's like, you know, let it be, let it out. You know, bring the world. You know, I put my medical on the table too. You know, corroborate it with medical facts. You know,
Right.
Right. And it's part, because you said, you know, you're part West Indian, right? I mean, well, you're West Indian, you know, you got the Jamaican, you said, right? In Barbados, you said?
Or,
yeah. That's what it is. Because Giovanni, she says it a lot of times. I mean, because my father's from Trinidad, So I guess I got that, in me, to just, because I try to do so many different things. And she says to me, yep, that's that West Indian in you. That you just don't stop. So, we feel you, we appreciate you once again. And we got to have you back on the show, in the very near future. So we're definitely going to, I'm glad that we made a new family member, and, hopefully we'll stay in touch.
I was supposed to be in Atlanta this month, August.
Okay.
The 20th to the 22nd for the National Black Business Conference as a headline speaker. But I'm overwhelmed with what I'm doing in London. It's been hard to really, scrape those 3 days out of London to come. But I'm looking forward to coming to the U.S. next year. I really want to reset my whole Sunfired vibe in the U.S.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we'll link up once you get here, in Atlanta. Maybe we can come to the conference or, and just meet you in person.
Yeah, well, I definitely conference next year. I'm not going to make it this year now.
Okay, gotcha. Next year. Yep.
Next year is
gotcha. Okay.
I'll make it next year.
Gotcha.
With my book coming out the first of the year, I'm definitely due to hit the U.S. on a major book tour as well.
Perfect.
So that's maybe, we'd love to, maybe talk that with y'all,
Okay.
Yeah.
We really want to get this book out. We want to put it in every house,
Yeah.
We've invested with, and it's been overdue now for over 50 years. So, so I'm sure my aunt would still get to speak with y'all about that, and especially with the ads, we want to take out ads with you to really get this book out there to the world.
Great. That sounds good. And sounds good. And, we'll definitely be in contact with you about that. So now I just got to convince Giovanni to stop bringing me gummy bears. Stop bringing me gummy bears, Giovanni, because I'm trying to get right. But I'm
going to stop bringing you gummy bears.
Yep. All right, Dr. LaTham. So look, once again, it was great having you. And we will definitely connect with you very soon, but we'll be in touch with you, probably almost immediately to discuss some of the things that we just talked about. And anyway, yep. Anything else? Did we leave out anything else, Giovanni?
No, we didn't. I appreciate you so much, and I heard the passion that you have in regards to this. This is a movement, a lifestyle change for the betterment of ourselves. And I appreciate you so much and look forward to working with you on the reset of Giovanni Jackson.
Let's do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay. And once again, this is your man. This is David L. David with my beautiful co-host, Giovanni Jackson. And this was the interview sessions right here on the Flex. And we were chatting it up with a very educational man, very knowledgeable man. Okay, Mr. Aris LaTham PHD. All right, so you guys need to pay attention, man. Play this podcast over and over again. You're in the gym, you're on a train, you're doing whatever you're doing, play it over and over again. And please reach out to this man because he is very knowledgeable. Okay, I've learned a lot. Okay, once again, this is your man, David L. David. Keep it tuned right here on The Flex.
The Flex. Radio.
This is Dr. Aris LaTham. Thank you so much. You've been listening to me here on the interview with Giovanni Jackson. Wow. Welcome home.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't
forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Hit that follow button to be notified when new episodes are released.
Choose your platform.
Listen to us on Amazon Music,
YouTube Podcast,
Apple Podcasts,
iHeartRadio,
and Spotify.
The interview sessions
on The Flex Radio.
Ranked 66 out of more than 2.5 million other podcasts.
Tune in directly.
Download the Flex Radio app today.